Welcome to the Effective Speaker Podcast, your go-to resource for mastering public speaking and communication. Each episode delivers tools and tips to unlock your potential and help you speak with confidence. Now let's get ready to speak with confidence in every word. Hi everyone, welcome back on another episode of Effective Speaker Podcast. Hi, I'm Robin, and today we have also my partner here.
Hi all, I'm Amelia.
What is the topic of today? So today we're going to explore on small talk in a professional setting. So let me ask this question to Amelia. So explain to us, what does this mean? What is small talk in a professional setting?
Yes, so last week itself, we already covered small talk topic in social setting. So a lot of our conversations actually are small talk. So we ask each other, how are they doing? How's the weather? Or how about their hobbies? And I think it's not only important in social setting, but also in workplace or in a professional setting. Because from small talk itself, later it will lead to other bigger things in professional context, which is networking. So I think that is the reason why we have small talk in professional setting as our topic for today's podcast.
And thank you very much for sharing that. Last week, you asked me quite an uncomfortable question as an introvert. Today, I'm going to ask you back the question. I know that you are an extrovert, so tell me, as an extrovert, do you find small talk comfortable?
Well, as an extrovert, we naturally like to engage with people. And if you ask me personally, I like to engage with people. I like to do small talk with people. Like when I wait for my airplane in the airport or when I'm sitting with strangers next to each other. If I found that person is interesting, like they're doing something interested to me, then I will naturally initiate conversation with them. So yeah, I quite enjoy small talk, to be very honest.
Right. Interesting. As an extrovert, it's quite easy for them and they find it quite comfortable. Well, let's get started right now. So, what makes small talk so important in the office, especially for networking?
Yeah, I mentioned before that small talk is not only important in social setting, but it also gives a lot of benefits in professional setting. Remember that we spend most of our time in the office. And as a
Yeah.
worker, we also want to have a better career advancements in the future. And that is where small talk takes part. Remember the ABC that you shared before? I think that's a right abbreviation to emphasize why small talk important as well as in professional setting. So A, it means act as a bridge to create connections. As a leader, let's say you are in that office, you are a leader, you definitely need to create connection with your team members. And if you are a team members, it's also important for you to create connection with your leader. So when you're able to initiate small talk, you will create connection, you will make your relationship deeper, and somehow you will coordinate better with them as well. And for sure, it will lead to a better career advancements in the future. And number two is B is for build rapport and trust. In professional setting, I suggest we build trust intentionally. And small talk is actually the first step of building trust. From small talk, you will create connection. And from connection, you will lead the conversation where you can also share your credibility. So I think it's good to see us small talk as a skill to build your connection, to build trust and credibility. And C, the number three is create opportunity for collaboration and networking. Again, of course, we want to have bigger opportunity and better career in the future. And network is essential in achieving this. When you're able to navigate small talk, you have a bigger chance to create opportunity for collaboration and networking. Maybe I would like to add one more letter, which is D. D stands for develop soft skills. It's not a secret anymore that soft skills are the skill that contribute the most to our career advancement. So when you practice small talk, you also developing your soft skills such as communication skill, adaptability, empathy, and listening to others. So I think it will contribute a lot to your career advancements.
That is very interesting. So last week we had the A, B, C, and you added the D also, which is developing soft skills. And yeah, I believe that soft skills is really important, especially when it contributes to the career advancement. Thanks for sharing that. My next question to you is, what common fears or challenges do people face when initiating or engaging in small talk?
So a lot of fears and challenges in navigating small talks. But let me choose the top three that I think is the biggest fears of all. Number one is fear of rejection. Worrying that other person wouldn't respond positively. And we worry as well that the person's answer is not what we expected. Sometimes it creates a fear of rejection. We also often have these negative sentiments in our head. We always think that people will see or think of us negatively. But in fact, most of them, they are not actually. So this kind of fear, we need to train our mind to respond or to think positively about others. And the second fear, I think, is awkward silences, which we already covered in a previous podcast. Difficulty in keeping the conversations flowing. And sometimes people just don't know how to continue the conversation when the other party doesn't respond like what we expect. How to follow up? What will be the next question be? This is so awkward. So the kind of fear is really true. And number three is lack of confidence, which feeling unprepared or unsure about what to say. And especially when you want to start conversation with someone with higher position than you, it can feel intimidating somehow. Mm.
That's a very interesting thing. You talk about lack of confidence, and I believe that when we don't have the confidence, we can't really speak in front of people. We are shy, we feel intimidated, we feel like we cannot do this because they are not in the same level as us. And it makes us, it's due to when we're not sure, we're not prepared for it or what to say. And that's how it makes us feel stuck. And this is the lack of confidence that we have.
Yes, I would like to
Yeah.
comment on that as well. A lot of people think that we must be confident first in order to start conversation, but actually in the
Mhm.
reality, it can work both sides. So I mean, like when you able to start conversation, when you practice to start conversation, it will also build up your confidence. So my suggestion, definitely you need to prepare, but it doesn't have to wait until you're fully 100% confident to start conversation. Once you're able to ask one simple question to others and the person respond positively to you, it builds up your confidence as well. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
side.
Yeah. All right. You talk about the fear of rejection as well. So,
Mm.
how can someone overcome the fear of rejection during small talk?
Yeah. So I mentioned about it previously that we do have negative sentiment in our heart. We always think negatively, like that person smiling like that. I think she laughed on me. The kind of negative thoughts
Mhm.
that people
Yeah.
think see us negatively. So this is the thing that we need to train, the mindset that we need to change. So the first thing is to shift your mindset. Train yourself to think positively and as well as see small talk not as a performance. You're not trying to entertain people. You're not trying to achieve on something, but small talk is an art of communicating with others to create connection with others and it's a skill to practice. And the more you engage in small talk, definitely the better you will be. So it's a moment
Mhm.
for you to practice to develop your communication skill and adaptability. And the second thing to overcome the fear of rejection is to prepare the topics. So if you're not a natural person who easily find topics, it's good to keep a physical list or a mental list of a safe and neutral topics. Again, safe and neutral topics such as the weather, hobby, how they dress, their weekend activity, or maybe food. Food also is a very good topic because most of people are able to relate with that topic. And last,
Hmm.
number three on how to overcome the fear of rejection is again to embrace imperfections. Well, accept that some conversation may not flow perfectly, and that is really okay. Maybe the other party is not in the mood to talk, and we must respect that. Not every person are in a good condition to do a small talk. And do not be afraid of that when it happens. Don't let it stop you in practicing small talk. Just keep trying it out. And it's nothing to lose when the other party doesn't want to talk any longer or respond like you expected. It's also a time for you to practice your empathy. It's a time for you to practice to be able to see their gestures, their body language. Is also a moment for you to develop your communication skill. Yeah, so that's I think my three suggestions for it.
Hmm. Yeah, just to recap on that, so shift your mindset, prepare the topics ahead, and embrace imperfection. I think that's a very good tip on how to overcome the fear of rejection, especially when people feel like unworthy of speaking in front of people because they felt like rejected. So, by shifting the mind, preparing topics ahead, and also embracing imperfections, I think that will really help to smoothen things in terms of how we communicate with others, and to continue to speak even though we feel rejected. It's fine. And that is totally okay. Thank you for sharing that. And let's move to the next question. There are different kind of strategies out there to start a conversation. So let's look into what are some effective strategies for starting a conversation with a colleague or a new connection.
All right. I think I'm gonna use the abbreviations that you shared in the previous episode, which is but it's so catchy and easy to remember. So stands for acknowledge, P stands for probe, and T stands for transform. So let's start with A first. A means acknowledge. You can start by complimenting something you have observed or what is happening around you. For example, when you see your team member bring a photo of a kid, you can start the conversation by asking, "Hey, is that your daughter? She is so cute." Or if you see your boss carrying a nice bag, you can start a conversation by asking, "Wow, that's such a classy bag. It matched your suits. Do you like leather bags?" Something like that. And P, probe, it means ask open ended questions and follow up questions that are related to them. Please do remember, don't get too rushed asking personal questions. Each person has their own level of comfort when they're talking with strangers. Try to be sensitive and aware of their level of comfort by observing their body language and gestures. And T stand for transform. It means shift the focus to shared interests or a work related things that you need to talk about or coordinate with the persons. So let's put it in a practice. Let's use the same example. So again, acknowledge. You see your team member bring a photo of a kid. You can start the conversation by asking, "Hey, is that your daughter? She is so cute." P for probe. "I notice you carry your family photo around and it makes me feel intrigued. What could be the reason?" And T for transform. "I see. I'd like to put my family pictures around too. And it gave me motivation to work." By the way, talking about motivation, I hope you are still motivated to do the task I've given to you. Well, let me know if you need my help. Yeah, so we can use the APT format like that to initiate conversation.
Wow. APT again, APT. All right. That was very good to talk about and easy to remember because of the popular song that we have. And It's easier to remember. So just to recap on that, so APT stands for acknowledge, probe, and transform. This is how you can engage into a conversation with anyone. The next question I want to ask is, how can you keep a conversation engaging and meaningful without it feeling forced?
Hmm.
Because a lot of times we feel like it's forceful, but how can you make it sound not forceful?
So I think the principle is to be genuinely interested in other people. So when you genuinely interested in them, it makes you an active listener. It shows in your gesture, it shows in your facial expression. So let's say there is a CEO of a big and successful company next to me. I will be genuinely interested in that person and I would like to ask what is their secret to make the successful company. So that kind of feeling, you really want to know, you really want to learn from the person. So that kind of genuine feelings, that kind of authenticity will flow out when you start the conversation. If you're genuinely interested in them, it makes you an active listener too, because you want to really know about their answer. And when you've been an active listener, then you can ask relevant questions as well. So when your questions are on point, I believe people will engage and the conversation will flow naturally. So again, be genuinely interested. It makes you a better listener. And when you are a better listener, then you will ask a relevant and on point questions that will keep the conversation meaningful.
Thank you very much, Amel, for such great insight and for gracing us with your presence here on our podcast. Last but not least, I want to ask you this. Any advice on how to expand your professional network?
Hmm. Yes, from my personal experience, I would like to share 3 tips for you on how to expand your professional network. The first one is to go to many networking events that is related with your field, such as conference. So let's say you are an HR, go to HR conference. If you're a digital marketer, go to digital marketing conference. If you're a finance, then go to finance conference. So when you go to that kind of conference, it will put you in a place where you can meet a lot of people in the same field with you, and the chance to develop your professional network definitely bigger. Number 2, which we already talked in the whole 2 episodes, it's to initiate small talk. By only attending conference without making connection, without making a network, you will not expand your professional network. So definitely you need to initiate small talk. Remember the APT formula that we shared. So acknowledge, probe, and transform. Use that formula and exchange your contact with your newly friend in that networking events. And lastly, number 3 is to maintain the relationship by sending each other maybe field related news from time to time. So making network is one thing, keeping or maintaining the network is other thing. You're able to create network. The other, probably even harder job is to maintain the relationship going. So the simplest thing that I can suggest to you is to share some news that is happening. So let's say you are an HR, you have an HR contact, you can share with your HR friend news in HR world from time to time, something like that. And underlying principle for these 3 suggestion is this. It's not about selling your skill, but it's about contributing to other people's needs by the professional skills that you have. I think that is the mindset that we need to have when we want to expand our professional network. So again, it's not about selling myself, my service, my products. It's about how can I help out? How can I contribute with a professional skills or product or service that I have? So that would be my suggestion.
Wow, that was very insightful. So don't sell your skills, but more contributing to the other person's needs by the professional skills that you have. Thank you very much for being here today. And thank you so much for the great insight. Even if we are in a professional setting, small talk is not as scary as you may think. Now that we know these communication opportunities. Let's embrace them in our next professional networking event. Until next time, see you in our next episode. Bye bye. Thanks for listening to the Effective Speaker Podcast. We hope you picked something useful today. Enjoy this episode, follow us, and share it with a friend who wants to speak more confidently. Let's keep the conversation going. Connect with us on social media for more tips and tools. And as always, speak with confidence in every word.